Hello and welcome back, and I'm down in the woodshed and I've got my horseshoe knife there, the one I forged, and I've been using this religiously and I really do like it. It's a novelty item, there's no carbon in this, but I use it to do everything. I've even used it to light fires, striking the ferrule rod with the blade itself. It holds no value to anybody else other than me, but it does me fine. And because I've fallen in love with it, I'm going to see if I can forge another one from this old big horseshoe here. Now it's got the curve I want because I want a curved handled type of knife this time, but I've still got to forge this actual side of the horseshoe, and it's quite a nice thick one. Bit apprehensive because I'm not sure if this was a fluke, this one that turned out like this. I've got thunderstorms and rain, but I'm going to use a wheelbarrow to shield the fire if I do have a shower, so nothing is being conducted properly. An ordinary fire runs at about 600 Celsius. To actually forge this, I got to get it up to somewhere near 1000, maybe 1200 Celsius to actual bend the metal and keep it pliable. So yeah, that's my biggest concern, and I'm using just wood and an air blower, and my air blower is actually a blow up mattress one, but it did the job last time. So let's see if we can turn this into another bushcraft knife. I am going to be doing an overnighter in my bushcraft shelter, so hence why I want to get another knife up so I can test it down there. So yeah, let's get a fire going and make this happen. So my forge is my old fire pit as per my last forging attempt or process. This time I'm creating a shallow V to keep the coals in one spot and draw up from underneath the fire pit there. So I should get good draw that way, as well as in through the sides, and my air blower will go in there. So I've just got some scrap pieces of sheet steel, quite thin. I'm a bit concerned that they won't buckle and burn out, but I'm hoping I get a load of embers which will keep these side walls cool enough so they don't burn away. But yeah, I'm going to get this fire going in here. This is experimental, but I've seen people with forges, wood ones, that are in this V shape. And I'm just guessing, from what I can gather, it holds all the embers rather than dispersing around the whole fire pit. Let's see if this works anyway. So what I'm going to do now is just take these lugs off with a grinder, and I'm going to cut it to the size of metal that I believe I'm going to need, and the best angle I think I can achieve my knife from. I've got gloves, I'm going to be wearing eye protection, and everything about this requires you to have a little bit of thought and be safe about it. Obviously fire, sparks, you don't want nothing in your eye, nothing on your clothes, and I'm well away from my woodshed. So yeah, if you're going to do something like this, always think safety. But like I said, we're going to take these lugs off and make a cut to give me something to work with. The fire's burning down nicely. As soon as I've got coals, I'll put the blower on, we'll start heating this up. I'm not going to take any scale off, because while I work it and it's in the fire, all that scale will probably, or a majority, will come off due to the heat. But yeah, this is a real nice thick piece of steel. It's crap steel, and like I said before, you know, people will say you're wasting your time, but I'll argue for, you know, a throw around bushcraft knife that it doesn't matter if I lose it, Once you sharpen it, it'll hold an edge long enough for, you know, a session out in the woods bushcrafting. And if you've got a sharpening stone with you, you can always re-put an edge on it, and it takes very little time to do so. So I've had a lot of fun playing around doing this, and I intend to do quite a few more bushcraft knives in various different styles that I want. Once you start making them, it does become a little bit of a ingrained thing that you think about different styles, what you could do, and on top of that, it's pleasurable doing it. But yeah. So my anvil is basically, I'll let you have a look, it's an old piece of wood inside a steel rim of a car, and a 1/2 inch slab of steel itself, and that weighs a ton, just like that. I've just taken the end pieces off. I've got it roughly, you know, how I want to shape that. I'm now going to cut it now. Alright, let's bury this in there and then start getting the coals on it and get the air on it. Let's go for it. Right then, I'm starting to get the rough shape of where I want the handle and the blade. The blade is obviously turning out to be longer than I want, but that's no problem. I'll just cut it off and re-profile it with a grinder. I'm not sure that the handle is 100%. I might take a bit of the curve out, but I think you can see it's going to be vastly different than the last one I did. What I'm going to try and do now is splay the blade out, profile it, try to keep as much meat on the spine, but flatten it out, basically pancake it down towards the working edge or the cutting edge. That's the theory anyway. As you can see, I'm not a paid blacksmith for a reason, but I'm having fun and I'm sure I'll get a knife out of this. It is getting dark, so I may only just get the rough profile of the actual knife tonight, and then I'll come back tomorrow morning. I've got other things to do, but yeah, such is life. But I've just loaded it up. It's a very hungry setup, this is, using wood, because you've got to keep the air on it all the time to achieve the heat, and even then it's struggling. I reckon that I'm on the borderline between getting enough heat to do it. It's coming out cherry red and orange, so it is up to temperature, but I can only achieve like 3 inches along of the temperature. I've got to keep moving it around. The whole item isn't coming out hot. So obviously my forge isn't, you know, very, you know, efficient at also fuel usage, and efficient with the where it's heating the actual horseshoe blade. But I'm still able to do something with it. It's very primitive. I'm actually sweating down by that fire doing this. But you can see what I've got here now. I actually took a bit of the curve out of the handle and it fits nice in the hand there. Right then, I've got a lot of grinding now to actually get some shape into that blade. But if you have a look there, you can see I've taken a lot. That's the other side, that's how thick it is. And I'll bring around this side. You can see I've actually pancaked it down to half its thickness. As you can see there, I think you can. And it's reasonably straight. So I'm on with the grinder now, and you can see I've got to actually cut a shape to just touch that nail hole, but not come too far into this one. I want to leave enough meat on the outside there to give it its strength. But yeah, it feels quite heavy actually. This is going to be quite a substantial bushcraft knife. So I've actually got a rough shape that I can work with. I'm now finishing up with the file because that's even starting to get too aggressive. And I'm going to go down to the hard grit on the sanding block. I've got to put the blade stop where you come into the handle. It's just more aesthetic than anything else, but it defines the blade from the handle, and I'm going to use a chainsaw blade for that. So everything's slow going now because it's by hand. The only good thing about these kind of knives, you don't have to have it looking the best it can, because you never will, because it's a rough piece of steel. And the best bit, these actual horseshoes have been used, they're discarded ones, so there's a nice little feel to it, and you know, it's quite novel. Like I said, they're a novelty item more than anything serious. But yeah, I'm here now shaping. I'll get back to you in a minute. Right, I've just come into a workshop because it's quite noisy out there, and I've had to restart the fire because I'm now going to heat treat this as best I can and temper it. It's starting to get dark out there, but this is pretty much where I am with it. I've put a rough bevel on it. It's quite a thick bevel at the front, which will be good for like battening, and I've gone really fine at the back for carving and doing those intricate jobs that you need when you come back on your hand and you choke the blade. But the front bit I've left quite fat, as you can see, and that would be good for, like, you know, all rough kind of work, like I said, battening, like digging out, basically chopping small sticks. You know, there's a bit of weight with this. It's possibly a little bigger than I anticipated, but hey, I've got an unlimited supply of horseshoes, so yeah, I'll be making plenty more. And where that hole is, there's about 5 to 10 mil going through right the way through. It may look like it's going right to the end, but if you have a look through, it's quite a way away. And there's a fair bit of metal there. Yeah, I'm very pleased with this. It's going to be a handy little tool for me out when I'm bushcrafting. But to heat treat it, all I'm going to do is heat it up, get it cherry red, and then I'm going to dip it in the water, pull back, let the heat run forward from the handle to the blade again, put it back in, and keep doing that motion till I've pretty much exhausted all the heat in this knife. And the young lad who was on YouTube was saying that you know, an elderly gentleman who taught him it kind of heat treats and tempers at the same time. It worked for my last knife. I'm presuming it'll work for this one. But when I say work, like I said, you know, there's nothing in this steel to really harden. It's still going to be what it is. But we've already discussed that. Right then guys, it's a new day. I've got things to do, hike and stick related. So what am I going to do with this now? I'm going to wire brush it off. I'm going to run a grinder over a little bit of the bits and bobs that I do actually feel I want to make a little bit nicer. And I'm going to take a little bit of meat off the actual working blade. I have run it over a piece of wood and it is taking slithers of wood off on all parts of the blade. Okay, and that's without me polishing this up and then running the sharpening stone over it. So it does have some, you know, use even just like this. But a couple sayings in the UK: you can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear, or more crudely, you can't polish a turd. And by that I mean this will never look like or represent your £400 bushcraft knife, and it is what it is. So it's pointless investing hours of time to try and make it look nice. It is, after all, going to be a working item, and I'm going to abuse this in the woods. All it needs to do is to be able to cut and, you know, have a little bit of a nice feel about it. So I'm going to continue that. I'm going to get some, you know, wire brushing done. I'm going to attach a wire brush to a drill and run over it. And I'm just going to make it look a little bit more presentable. And that will be it. So let's go and make this happen. Well then guys, I do have a bushcraft knife of sorts which I can use when I go down to the survival shelter. It's a lot heavier than the other one, and in fact it feels quite nice chopping with it. And most of the blade along there is actually razor sharp, and it will perform whatever task I want. And the bit on the nose, which is quite fat, does work fantastic for battening through pieces of wood. I will be taking this down to Bushcraft Shelter like I've said, and I'll put it through its paces. It's not pretty, it looks ugly, and there's a nail hole right on the top by the nose. It makes no difference to me. It costs me nothing other than my time. I will play around with various designs, and you know, I've got 3 unlimited horseshoes, why not? So this is just a transition to where I want to get to with horseshoe knives and other chopping instruments I can use when I'm out and about bushcrafting. So yeah, it's a lot bigger than my other one, as I showed you, substantially heavier, but I'm still quite happy with this item here over my hand, and it will serve me proud. So all that's left to be said is I'll catch you when I'm next down in the woods doing that overnighter. So take care, stay safe, and hope to catch you guys on the trail.